Hello, Dumaguete.
Hello, Negros Oriental.
Hello, Sillimanians around the world.
This is Joshua Soldivillo.
And this is Ronelyn Vailoces, and you are watching Silliman.
For Silliman updates,
we have another set of professionals. Congratulations to our newly registered professional medical technologists and architects. The results came out last January 24 and 27 this year. Continue to make your parents proud, and of course, we would like to commend our faculty and staff for their competence and service. Congratulations, everyone!
Wow, you deserve it, guys. Keep up the good work. Meanwhile, the Dr. Jovita R. Salonga Center for Law and Development of Silliman University conducted relief operations in the cities and municipalities hit by Typhoon Odette. They went to Ayungon, Tayasan, Baez City, La Libertad, Bindoy, Tanhay City, and Manhuyod from December 19, 2021 to January 14, 2022. Please know that your efforts are very well appreciated. Keep the Silliman spirit burning.
That's so generous of you. Thank you very much. For another update, the Silliman University National Writers Workshop, the longest-running creative workshop in Asia, is calling all writers to join the upcoming workshop to be held from June 27 to July 8 this year. So if you want to hone your skills in writing, the National Writers Workshop is for you.
That will be all for Silliman updates. Keep up the good work, and to God be the glory.
Good evening, everyone. This is a magazine program that talks about the different aspects of Silliman University.
A program initiated to discuss matters concerning the campus by the sea. Welcome to Silliman.
So without further ado, let me introduce our first guest for tonight. He is a faculty representative of the Sillimanian Initiative, at the same time, the chairperson of the Psychology Department. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you Dr. Rogen Ferdinand Alcantara.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Right, and our second guest for tonight is the acting senior pastor of Silliman University, Reverend Leny Jovita. Pastor, good evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
So let me ask the question right away, no? We will talk about what happened during the Typhoon Odette and the efforts and programs of Silliman University for the victims affected by Typhoon Odette. Now, my question is, can you please take us back to the time when Typhoon Odette hit Negros Oriental? Where were you during that time? Let's start with Dr. Rogen.
Okay. Well, I'm at home. We're actually, it has already been forecasted that there'll be the typhoon would be of great magnitude. So we're doing our own preparation at home since we have two children, and we're trying to prepare for food items, no? And other necessities. And most of the time, we're just trying to listen to the radio, updated ourselves with what is happening and what is coming during those days. No? While the typhoon is already getting in the Philippine area of responsibility.
How about Pastor Leny? Where were you during that time, Pastor?
Yeah, actually during that day in the morning, I had a funeral service at the Everlasting Cemetery. Yeah, and then but in the afternoon, we were just in our place here in Silliman campus, and yes, preparing and waiting and keep updated with the storm signal. And we were also actually updating our family, especially in Cebu, since Cebu is also one of the forecasted to be hit by the Typhoon Odette. So we were just all here.
Yeah. So definitely, in brief, no, everybody was really affected, though at different levels. And we also know that there are a lot of Sillimanians that were also terribly affected by the typhoon. So the Silliman University actually launched this program called the Sillimanian Initiative, no, or the TSI. So maybe we can ask Dr. Alcantara to talk about the TSI. How did it came, or how did it come? How did it become an idea? Who were the proponents, and what were the activities for this project, sir?
Okay. Well, based on what I understand during the time that I attended the meeting, I was just given some kind of a private message, or was included in the communication in Messenger, that I am part of some kind of a ad hoc committee that the president, university president, Dr. Makan, was forming to address the many concerns after the Super Typhoon Odette. And well, it started in a meeting, and I think that was December 22 or 23, Bato Pastor, no? By during that time, and so, as what Professor Villarmino mentioned in the previous episode, I think the university would want to have some kind to synchronize, to have an umbrella initiative representing Silliman University. So, of course, the student government has started the TSI. And then during the meeting, it was agreed with the student government. There's still TSI, but now it would be more of a Silliman initiative. So later it was called the Tropical Storm Odette initiative. So it's more of a interdepartmental, some kind.
Yeah, much more inclusive. Yeah.
Okay.
Sir Oyen, speaking of interdepartmental, a lot of us participated or donated during the Sillimanian Initiative Drive. My question is addressed to Pastor Leny. What is the participation of the UCCP?
Yes, actually, the Silliman Initiative is also a collaboration with the Silliman University Church. Instead of having our own campaign in the Silliman Church, we joined the effort of the university together with the SUSG, and the Silliman University Church is tasked to also contact the different UCCP churches in the affected areas, because in every municipality, fortunately, in every municipality that we have in Negros, we also have a church situated there. So the part of UCCP is they become the center for distribution, and we also request the pastors to also facilitate in taking the list, in contacting the families, especially those who are severely affected by the typhoon.
Yeah, so this is a very good initiative, not only because there is a concerted efforts in the university, but we also partnered with other stakeholders.
Yeah.
So, how far did the Sillimanian initiative reach? How far did it go? And how did we identify the beneficiaries of our relief goods?
Maybe Pastor Lenny can ably answer.
Okay, yes. Actually, during the meeting, in our first meeting, with the committee, we call it the incident command system, headed by Attorney Ablong. We had a meeting, and each participant was also tasked to have a visit, ocular visit to the different areas for us to identify which area should be distributed first, which should receive the relief goods first. So I was one. I was also tasked to go to Bais and to Manhuyod, which is the first two areas that we were able to reach out. And then after that, I also contacted some of the pastors to the different local churches as far as Gihulngan. So from Bais to Manhuyod, then to Ayungon, to Bindoy to Ayungon, Himalalod, La Libertad, Tayasan, and then Gihulngan. So as far as Gihulngan, we were able to reach out to them.
So I suppose, Pastor Leny, the farthest area that you reached was Gihulngan. Were there
Yes.
any challenges that you encountered while distributing the goods and the different donations?
Yeah, first was the security. We really have to call for police assistance because probably because of the desperate of the people, especially going to Bais, people are really desperate to have help. So we really need police assistance, and then we also contacted some of the LGUs of these municipalities. And another aspect of another problem that we have encountered is the road passability because especially in the interior part of the municipalities, there were still many areas that are not passable. In fact, some of our volunteers in Bais also, they really had to go on foot, just to distribute the relief goods to pass along the river so that they can really send or they can really distribute the goods to the different families.
Yeah. So, moving forward, Pastor Leny and Dr. Alcantara, what are now the updates no, on the situation on the ground of our typhoon victims? And I'm sure some are still recuperating, perhaps. So, where and how can we possibly still share our donations?
For now, I think we have two activities or programs, if you would call it. We have the psychosocial intervention. Just the other week, we were training and retraining volunteers and just waiting for the go signal to be deployed. We're still in level 3, so we're hoping that within the month we can send a team to do the psychosocial processing. And based on the information I've also gathered, or during the meeting, it was also mentioned the other program would be the rehabilitation of infrastructure. This time will be the involvement of the College of Engineering and Architecture. Students and faculty will be involved in terms of rehabilitating infrastructures in the areas that was badly hit by Odette.
How about Pastor Leny? Any updates from the UCCP and Silliman Church?
Yes, as of the moment, we are still accepting donations. There were some in-kind donations from the SUSG that they have received, and they turned it over to the church and requested the church to facilitate the distribution because at the moment, I think the university is no longer accepting in-kind donations, only monetary for the rebuilding of the infrastructure. So it is now the university church who is doing the distribution to certain areas also. And yeah, in line with Dr. Oyen's sharing on PSP, the Silliman Church is also joining this effort, working this effort. And in fact, we just have a partnership program with the Northern Negros District Conference. Last week during their assembly, I went there to present the this PSP partnership program to them. To equip the different church leaders in the different local churches because it is a known fact that especially now that we are still on alert level 3, so our mobility is restricted. So the PSP program or the PSP team has offered this partnership to the NNC, to the North Negros Conference, that the university will facilitate will do the equipping, will do the training for the different church leaders in the different local churches of North Negros to them. So it's more on the equipping and training of the facilitators also for this program.
All right. So thank you so much, Pastor Leny Jovita and Dr. Rogen Alcantara, for being with us in this episode. So as we close, we would like to ask you from you some words for our students, for our fellow Sillimanians around the world, and of course those who are survivors, no, of the Typhoon Odette. So perhaps we'd like to begin with Dr. Alcantara.
Well, maybe I would like to share my favorite verse of all time, and that is in Joshua 1:9. Be strong and take courage. Do not fear nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God will be with you. And that's always been my life verse of all time, and I've always been encouraged and strengthened with that. And I hope that the televiewers, the Sillimanians everywhere, will also take hold on God's promise that He will never leave us nor forsake us.
Wow, amen to that, Dr. Alcantara.
Pastor Leny.
Yes, yun na naman kung Sir Oyen. Anyway, yeah, it is actually our call for everyone to be resilient in times like this. But sometimes many of us would say we are getting tired of being resilient. But then, time and again, we need to be strong, especially for our students who are at this time. We know that many of them are still unable to restore, to rebuild, their life. Yeah, we just need to be strong and believe that God will do the impossible, because we have a God of impossibility. So no matter what we are going through, no matter what challenges we are facing at the moment, we know that we can overcome all this because we have a God who is always with us.
Thank you very much, Pastor Danny and Sir Oyen, for that words of encouragement and inspiration. Thank you very much also for being with us today, giving
you.
us updates about
Thank
Silliman.
you.
Thank you.
Hashtag Silliman will be back after a short break. We're back. For our second part of this episode, we are going to have the student volunteers who participated in the Sillimanian initiative.
Yes, that's right, Ron. And we are so happy that they are with us tonight. And allow me to introduce them to you. So allow me to start with one of the project leads of the Sillimanian initiative, Miss Enrica Dinopol. Enrica, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, sir and ma'am.
And then we also have one of the project leads as well of the Sillimanian initiative. We have Mr. Cedrick Babor. Good evening, Cedric.
Good evening po, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Happy to be here po. Basically. And for the most part, my family as well, okay lang po sila. And yeah, that's basically what happened that entire night. We're just preparing for the worst, Jud.
You know, our topic is all about Silliman initiative. Can you please tell us what are your experiences during the planning, the distribution, or the plans that you had for Silliman initiative? What did you do? Let's start with Enrica.
Yes, actually, I want to start with Cedric if possible on that. But to give you a quick overview of what went down the day after, immediately after Odette hit, so December 17. So December 17, as we all know, the telecom lines, both Smart, Globe, everything was down. So we really couldn't contact everyone. But I'm certain that the core team of TSI, once we were forming it, we all had one goal in mind, which was we need to meet up, or hopefully what can we do in terms of providing help to those that were greatly affected. Because overall naman, here in Dumaguete City and the small neighboring cities beside it, for example, me, because I live in Cebulan, we weren't really greatly affected. Of course, there were casualties, like the trees that fell down, a lot of them, of course, affected. But then there were more families in more places, jud na grabe yun ang effect sa typhoon. So after that day, December 18, I remember once we were able to get just even 1 hour, or I think like the glimpse of Wi-Fi once I got home, the first thing that I did was I chatted, actually our student government vice president, and I also chatted Cedric, and I asked them, where were you guys? What are we doing? What can we do? And then actually, to ours, of course, our brains were practically thinking of the same thing. They were already meeting up at a cafe, and so I took the chance that I had to go immediately to them, and that's where it sparked, where everything began. And I think I'll let Cedric continue the rest because he had a big part in planning that too.
Yeah, so as what Enrica mentioned, I met up immediately, like once the signal came back, like for a very quick like minute. I immediately chatted, as you Vice President Shem Barinaga. I asked him, hey Shem, asa ka karon? Let's meet up, let's plan. I really want to do something to help the people. I really want to do something because I heard na at that moment daghan na kay affected. There was a lot of people that were really struggling. We're like, okay, we need to meet, we need to plan something, especially we need to mobilize the Silliman initiative. So again, as what Enrica also mentioned, we immediately contacted the people that we needed to get the ball rolling, basically. So that was first Enrica, and then next we contacted Sofia Sitoy, which was our creatives head at that time, and also Francis Asalioso, who is the chairperson for the SUSG Health Emergency Response Team. So again, with our collected efforts, we really made sure na okay, na siya, we readied our primer. We had things that we had a vision basically, and that was just to help those affected. And what we heard at that time was that Bais was the one that was greatly affected because again, we had a friend Mongo dito from Bais who said na grabe kayo ang impact dito. Like actually, this is our SG president, my career Bonanza. We were just chatting with her, we were communicating with her like, hello, kamusta na mo dito? Because we heard that they were from there, so we were checking up on her. So again, just a lot of planning. We had Kuya Francis Astalioso, he was in charge of assessing the situation and basically assessing the situation and to see if what do they need? Do they need water? Do they need clothes, stuff like that? And then in most part, a lot of planning really happened on December 18, and then immediately after, we decided, okay, we need to post a parang call to donations immediately. So that was when we received a number of donations really came in immediately as soon as we posted that. I think we were able to reach 150,000 and if I was not mistaken, immediately on the first day.
Yeah, the first 24 hours. In addition, just to add, the same goes for our volunteers. We did the call for volunteers towards our Sillimanians, of course, an alumni who was willing to help on the same day on December 18, and then not even by 10 p.m. So less than 24 hours. I think we already reached the 100 mark of people who wanted to help. So Sillimanians were very, very eager, Jude, to help as much as they can and contribute as much as they can.
Wow. So hearing to your story right now, I think this is a clear manifestation of leadership, this initiative of yours. I just want to know, where is this coming from, Enrica and Cedric?
Well, for me, definitely it's because I realized, or it was a wake-up call. Typhoon Odette was a wake-up call for me that thankfully, if I have the power, if I'm able to mobilize and to do something for the community, then I'll do it, because there are much more people who are in need rather than myself. Yes, I'm certain everyone had their own fair share of struggles during the time when the typhoon hit. But then once you see and once you hear the people who were calling for help, I really just couldn't sit and do nothing at that. It felt not necessarily wrong, of course, because we can only do so much as people. But I felt that because I had a house, because I'm able to sleep in a bed that didn't have any effects, I really wanted to do as much as I can in my own way. And giving, it's also part of the fact that I really want to give back to the people who are always there for me. For example, like Ate Maika was greatly affected. Uncertain, a lot of us have other friends who were affected, and I wanted to make certain that they were okay. So it was really rooted on the fact that if I had something, if I could really do something, then might as well do it, because there are much more people in need.
Yeah, and for me as well, it all just basically boils down to what can I do, basically. Because katupad jud on December 17 when Typhoon Odette hit, I already had the urge na parang, okay, I really want to do something. I need to plan something out, because again, a lot of people are really affected by Typhoon Odette, and just like we have all these resources available to us, especially nakita na dili kita, we weren't as affected as much. You know, we have a lot of resources. We have a lot of things available to us. So again, as just parang echoing from what Enrica said, now really I couldn't just sit down and do nothing with all the connections, all the resources. So yeah, that's where that came from.
You know, Josh, I couldn't help but be proud just by listening to this, to
Right.
these students, really embodying that Silliman spirit, having character and faith, and, compassion for other people. Now, my question is that, what is the effect or the influence that the Sillimanian initiative have in you? Let's start with Enrica.
So the Silliman initiative, I really just want to give a big thank you to the everything that happened with it, because it also happened towards the end of the school year. So it was practically the last 2 weeks that we had for 2021. And of course, since the pandemic began, I really didn't get, or all of us didn't really get, the interaction that we needed for getting to see people. So as much as TSI, as much as we were able to help people, I think that, or I believe that TSI also helped me a lot, because I got to meet so many volunteers who were purpose-driven and passion-driven to make change as little or as big as they could. And it really inspired me to keep on doing what I love to do, which is helping people as in any way that I could. And seeing these volunteers every single day, because we had to collect, of course, the donations that they were given in the SU gym. And then every single day there was someone who was always willing to help out, willing to lend a hand. And it really motivates you to keep on going. And because of the online setup that you couldn't really see people, the chance or the opportunity to go and come together as one community or as one organization under Silliman University, it really meant a lot to me, and it really, really made my year. I think it was one of the best highlights of 2021, knowing that I get to serve with all of these amazing people and giving help to those in need. Because if it wasn't for them, I felt like kulang jud kayo ang 2021. Okay, again, everything was still online. So I was really thankful for the Silliman initiative, because it brought out a chance to grow, a chance to connect with people who I have not seen forever and for ages, and of course, getting to help those people in need.
So yeah, as well for me, no, the Silliman initiative really influenced me a lot in how I perceive things and how I just view things in general. Because of our operations, no, we really saw the devastation that Typhoon Odette had brought and everything that it came before. Tapos seeing just those people na parang they needed help talaga, it made me think na, okay, as someone who's privileged enough or who has enough resources to do something na, we really need to do something. And also, as what Enrica mentioned, the volunteers really played an important role in the success of the Silliman initiative in general, because I swear without them, I don't think we would able to reach this far and get this amount of parang help to those people talaga. So we really owe it to them. We really owe it na, they really, again, just repeating what I said, they really did play a big part in the overall success of the Silliman initiative.
All right. So I think this is also a fitting time that we give special shout outs to those who really contributed to your initiative, no? So perhaps we'll give you some seconds to do so. Enrica?
All right, so of course, a shout out to our kinakusgang Kuya Rick Marcojos, who because of his personal endeavors weren't able to come today. But Kuya Rick Mar is our third project lead, who definitely was one of the backbones of how we were able to do everything. So Kuya Rick Mar, if you're watching this, definitely one of the best people. And then I also just want to shout out to our online volunteers. We have volunteers both in the face-to-face setup and the online setup. So our online volunteers, this one's for you. Although that you weren't physically here, I'm certain that your presence and that your willingness to share a post, to communicate to other schools in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, all across the Philippines, definitely thank you kaayo sa inyong pagtabang. Without your help, you really wouldn't be here. And I'm gonna give it to Cedric because I'm certain he has people to thank too.
Yeah, also just a huge shout out again to Kay Rick Mar for being truly one of the most amazing people, Judd. He really helped a lot. Again, again, what Enrica said, backbone of TSI. He really went out of his way just parang to have our resources available to us, like, especially sa pag procure sa mga equipment and whatnot. And shout out as well to all of our partners and organizations that really decided to lend a help in us in our initiative, because without their reach, without their members as well, we wouldn't have gotten this far. They really played a big role in reaching out to those mga individuals who aren't really aware of what's happening. And yeah, just basically a general shout out to all of our partners and organizations.
Thank you very much, Enrica and Cedric. Kudos to you and to the team. Please keep the fire burning.
Right. So thank you so much, Enrica and Cedric, for joining our episode tonight. And we are now at the last segment of our episode tonight. This is hashtag WTP Words to Ponder. So Ron, after our conversations with our guests tonight, what is your word to ponder?
Josh, my WTP for this episode is altruism. Because aside from the fact that I really like the sound of the word, I also like the idea that it is not something that I hear every day. It is something that I see, something that I observe and experience almost every day. And I like the meaning of the word. It is the desire to give or to reach out to other people without asking something in return. And sometimes I'd like to ask myself, why is that? Why do we have that kind of desire? And just this morning, Joshua, I heard a song and the lyrics goes, because loving God is loving others free. And it hit me, because we are all made in the image of God. Therefore, His mercy, His kindness, His goodness are reflected upon us. That is why with all the id and ego that we have, we also learn how to be altruistic to other people. And I think that is fascinating. No, that's not fascinating. I think that is grace. That is God's grace. How about you, Josh? What is your WTP for tonight's episode?
I think it would be leadership. Hearing from the words, hearing from the stories, inspiring stories, in fact, of our guests tonight, we see that great leaders don't set out really to be a leader. They set out to make a difference. And it's never about the role that they play, but it's always about the goal that we all want to achieve. And I think that's what leadership is all about. That is all for tonight. Hashtag Silliman will air on Phil Products every Monday at 8 p.m. and replays every Friday at 8 p.m. You can also watch our live stream on Facebook every Saturday.
And please also don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Just click follow and for more updates. And please also don't forget to like, comment, and share.
God bless everybody. See you next time on here on hashtag Silliman.